Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me once again on another episode of Train the Trainer. And today we have a very special guest, and she is someone who has done a lot of work in a lot of fields. She started her career in the advertising industry. She has spent over 10 years in the advertising industry, learning about branding, brand consulting, customer experience, and so on. She has worked on all those areas, and then she moved into language teaching also. But before that, she also worked at the prestigious CNN briefly as a trainee reporter. And when she stepped into language teaching, she started her career in Salem, and now she is the founder of a company that is into primarily conducting language business English trainings for adults, for working professionals, for companies and colleges. The company's name is ThinkEng. Think ENG, as you see on her background as well. Think English is a short form of Thinking Academy. She runs her own company. She helps a lot of people. She helps a lot of trainers. I have worked with her, so I can tell you that it's wonderful to work with her. You get to learn a lot. You get to understand things that you don't think about sometimes, and you get good inputs. You get appreciated for your work. It's a wonderful place to work, whether you're a freelancer or otherwise, it's a great company to work with. I can say that for sure. And in addition to that, I would also like to highlight that she loves adding value to people through a group called Train the Trainer. Through a group called Teacher Talk Time, TTT, Train the Trainer and Teacher Talk Time, both are TTT. So I was a little confused. Sorry about that. Teacher Talk Time is a group that she started through which she is adding a lot of value to a lot of trainers. People talk about each other's requirements for business English and English language classes also there. But we also get to work on something extremely important for all the teachers, which is continuous professional development. Every quarter, we have an interesting session there where we get to learn multiple things about teaching, teaching methods, something new that is arising. We got to know about everything. Like we I got to learn the language that is used by the Gen Z. I got to know about that through these programs. I got to also offer something through these programs about gamification and classes. It's a beautiful group where people help each other. So kudos to her for adding a lot of value and creating such amazing groups. Her aim for starting her organization thinking was to make English language learning accessible and affordable for most people. So they do programs online, but post lockdown, just like most trainers, I think she also loves meeting people in person. So they are on a hybrid mode now. So for all your requirements, you can definitely reach out to her. And now, with all of that said, let's jump into today's interview. This person's name is Ambika Virthyam Parambat. Thank you so much, Ambika, for joining us today. It's a pleasure, and I'm extremely happy to have you here today. Thank you very much for joining.
Likewise, Balaji. Absolutely. That was a really flattering, long introduction. Like when you hear about yourself, you just have to step back and, analyze. But thanks so much for that.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay, Ambika, to start with, yes, there is one thing that I forgot to mention. She is also a Delta certified trainer. A lot of us do CELTA, and then when we look at the Delta syllabus, we take a few steps back and then maybe disappear. So we will be talking about that too in today's interview. However, my first question would be, I think post lockdown, many teachers might have wanted to start their own organization. Many people got into freelancing, but they would have wanted to start their own organization as well. But it's a challenging part. So, can you tell me how has your journey been so far with being the founder of an organization?
Absolutely. In fact, it's definitely been, a decision that I took, seeing that there was a lot of trust on online education during the lockdown, because I think till then nobody really ventured into full stream online training. because it was always, I'm not sure if it's going to work out, I don't want to know. Especially I think for the children, definitely it was something people were skeptical about. Honestly, I still don't prescribe teaching too many young kids online, which is why mostly we focus on adults or we focus on college goers. And what we noticed is during the lockdown, since the trust got built, it was much easier for me to connect to people. And like rightly you put, my intention was to make it more accessible. And platforms like Zoom made it more easy for us to conduct classes in a very interactive way as well. There were tools
True.
that we could use. It didn't seem like we were lagging, or just because we were doing it online, we were not providing the service like how we would have done it offline. So my journey started with the thought that, okay, now that there is a trust, why not I start a company? So when I did start, I was in a very freelance mode. My thought process was very much like a freelancer, not like a founder then. So I was doing things by myself, and my mom is also a language trainer, so I got her also on board. So the two of us were just doing it for the first 1.5 years. And then what I noticed is I was doing pretty much every genre of teaching, be it young learners, teenagers, IELTS training, business English, spoken English, you name it, we did everything. And I think that is something you may need to also do when you are finding your foot, because you kind of have to explore and then come into what you want to do. So I think thinking's journey in the first 2 years was completely that. We were doing everything. In fact, our first website had pretty much everything. And then after 2 years, we kind of found our foot. We focused a little more. We had more people on our team. And then we kind of, made it more organized, made it more specific, and made our goals more specific, our vision more specific. Yeah.
That's wonderful. It's like, yeah, when you step into entrepreneurship, you are still in the freelancer mode, and it's a continuous learning. But then, what would be your recommendation for someone who thinks of starting their own company in the field of learning and development?
See, I think, like rightly we were talking about, we tend to start with the freelance mode. And at that point, we're looking at things as jobs. You're looking at a course. But when you turn into a founder, what happens is you need to look at it as clients. There, it's more of marketing. You're not just there to teach that group of people, but you're also there to connect with the person who is making the decision for the group. So that's where I think you kind of have a change of perspective. So you start looking at organizations as your clients, where it's going to be a more long term association with them. But as a freelancer, I feel we go with the organization that's doing this,
True.
and we do the course for the organization and we step back.
Yes.
So I think it's the perspective difference, honestly.
So how long did you take to get used to this difference?
A year and a half.
Mm. I think it
No,
should easily
because
take that much time at least, right?
yeah, because
We
at
can't
that time you're still
learn it
not
immediately.
still. Yeah, because you still haven't figured out whether you want to do IELTS training, because there are so many players
True.
who do IELTS. And there are so many people who do spoken English. So you want to also set your base and create that kind of unique identity for yourself, and make sure that that is really something the client wants. So then you can expand, because as a freelancer, you can do an IELTS, you can do business English, and you can do all these multiple courses at the same time.
True.
So, as an organization, you can personally, as Ambika, I still take IELTS training. I still do, master training classes for IELTS trainers. But as thinking, I'm very specifically catering to business English.
Excellent. So
Yeah.
one can be an entrepreneur and also continue with freelancing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, I would recommend do that,
Yes.
because when you become an entrepreneur, you may not get to teach in your organization, because you have a lot of things to take care of other than teaching. And these freelance opportunities give you still that, opportunity to go meet people and teach.
Great. And I would like to ask you about there's a lot of other things that we have to do other than teaching.
Yeah.
We jump into something and then we wonder, where am I heading? So, what are those other things that you learned?
So, when you get a project, for instance, you have to take a call how you're going to be hiring your trainers. Do you want them to be on full time, contract basis? Most of us prefer trainers on contract basis. Likewise, I think trainers also prefer to be on
True.
contract basis. So, the commitment is only for a course. So, as a person, I have hiring, I have contracts to make, I have business development to do so that my projects are, flowing the month after the other. I have to network with other people. I need to probably make my presence felt in more networking areas, not just teaching, but in areas where there is a requirement for language. And that is pretty much all industries. So you go and take membership in places where you can network with other decision makers of different industries. So a lot of the time goes in getting the business development part done, and then once that is done, you have to be very focused in curriculum development, because you want to set a standardized way of doing it. So if I say thinking is doing such a course, they would know what thinking is going to deliver, and I cannot give that to the trainer because we have a certain way and approach that we practice in the, which is kind of tried and tested by a couple of us. So we want to stick to that. And as we evolve, like you said about Gen Z, you need to bring in those evolution in your courses. So you have to review each course that you do at least once in 3 months, update the content. So all of that is the
Mhm.
back end work that goes.
Wow, that's really a lot of work, and definitely we can't do it single-handedly. So we do need a team, and but so now there is a lot of things. Do we self-learn these things, or do we learn this online, or do we talk to people? How does that part work?
So, for me, I think in the business development part, I've been quite um, fortunate that my previous degree was advertising and marketing, and I worked in an advertising industry. So pretty much my design, branding, marketing strategies are from my previous career, the experience that I bring in from my previous career. And I do have a very solid team as well. So when it comes to guiding with language, my mom was working in British Council, so she's the one who we fall back on teacher training. Then I do have a very, very supportive colleague, Nikita, who's been with me from, I think, the first, maybe after 1 year of I started thinking, she's been with me, and she pretty much knows thinking just like I do. So she helps me with all the content work. So she's very strong in that. Then I do have, people who write, people who design, all of that from my circle who help me. So I think it's about how you find resources and how you actually are able to get the work from the resources, versus you definitely have to incentivize them. It's not about getting free work. A lot of people think, oh, because my friend is this. I think that time and age is gone. We all have bills to pay. So
Yes.
whatever the work is, incentivize, and also make sure that you're able to find the right resource for the right work.
Excellent. So, what I hear is that the networking, the connections that you have helped you immensely.
Yeah.
So how do you build your network? Is it like because people leave a company and then they are not in touch with their colleagues, they move somewhere else, they move out of country, whatever they do. So many things happen. So how do you build your network?
So a couple of things I did when I started, it was very word of mouth. I wasn't going out there or putting myself out there to network. But recently, in the last 2 years, I've been quite active doing my networking. So I also work with another NGO, which is called the EVIT, Empowering Women in IT. So
Wonderful.
it's a NGO which has a lot of these decision makers of IT sector across Chennai and Bangalore. So that is one way that I network, because I closely work with them and I kind of do a lot of events for them, and do all the coordinations for them. So I took it up as a part-time role where I can also it's a subtle network building, and in fact from there I've actually landed 2 3 clients.
Excellent.
And then the word of mouth from that client passes on to the network again. Another one which I've joined, I think the year before last, was Thai Chennai.
Hmm.
So Thai Chennai is also quite effective networking channel for me. Again, I've had about 3 4 leads, of which two of them converted into my long time clients as well. So I think it's your timing too, and the way that you can identify the problem that they are facing and able to give them the rightful solution for it.
Wonderful. So yes,
Yeah.
I like the part where you said it should be subtle. We cannot jump at people and share, expect them to work or expect them to spread the word about our business. So
Yeah.
yes, it takes time. Um,
So I
all
think a lot of people, when you think of, lead generation, think of only meeting somebody and pitching. And
true.
I feel a lot of times that is the wrong approach. You go and you look at what they need, help them, and then
Hmm.
when there is an opportunity, pitch. Like, don't think of all connections as a pitch.
I'd
Yeah.
agree. I'd agree. I remember listening to a person named Murali Sundaram sir, and he mentioned that please don't give your business card. Ask them, talk
Correct.
to people about their business, find out what they want, and then offer some help if you can. Later, you
Right,
can talk about your business if it is
right.
appropriate.
That's right.
Okay. I like with okay. With what has been your biggest challenge with respect to being the CEO, being the founder of the company?
Sometimes the journey of being a founder can be quite lonely because you need to make a lot of these decisions, and we started off with an online mode where everybody was working by themselves alone. So there you kind of tend to feel a bit of, and that could be quite lonely because you sometimes want assurance that what decision you're making is right. And I think that's an evolution a founder goes through, from second guessing to then maybe taking the decision by just your instinct, and then probably sticking with the instinct and knowing that it's right. And now all the more, I think within we are reaching the 5th year this year, and now I can say with conviction that I can take a decision no matter what. At that point, that was the right decision that I could have taken. So I think you develop that kind of confidence, and I think over the time you understand how to manage it too.
I really love the part where you mentioned that at that moment that was the right decision to take. Many people regret things later, but I don't
Right.
think they have to, do they?
Correct. Absolutely, because at that moment you only know the situation that you're in, and they couldn't, and you will always keep the company and your trainers ahead of any decision that you're going to be taking, what benefits them versus what benefits the company. So definitely you would have made a logical choice, and I think that is something that founders should be like more concerned about. Are you being logical and open and practical about your decision?
Great. Thank you for sharing those important inputs. I'm sure some people really would benefit from this and maybe lose some burden that they have been carrying for a long time. Uh, many teachers have benefited from the teacher talk time group, and especially post lockdown when people don't have a workplace to go to exactly. A group like this has helped people with the continuous professional development in many ways. What was your purpose for starting this?
Exactly what you said. So, because what I noticed is, especially when, during the lockdown, we all started working remotely and there was zero support system. And
Yes.
people who worked in organizations at least had some sort of a connect with other teachers.
Hmm.
And in fact, when we started, we used to have it on monthly basis, especially during the lockdown. If not anything, we were just connecting and then sharing our difficulties with some learners or sharing really funny incidences with our learners. We would meet every month on Zoom just to be there for another teacher. Then it
Wonderful.
slowly evolved into quarterly, where we did start CPD. And CPD was, I think, very important, especially as freelancers. We tend to see the certifications in some sites. We go and we take it, but we never get to engage. We
Yes.
learn. but are we engaging? Are we interacting? That's kind of limited. So CPD gave a continuous progress in terms of you could come back and tell us whether what we discussed worked or not. And if it didn't work, what worked better? So we would have discussions of the sessions that we've done, and the group kind of started becoming really intimate and close. We have, I think, in our TTT about 30 to 40 people
Yes.
now. So, and I think as an ESL trainer, especially, the support system was not really in one place. Like we had some organizations giving some sort of webinars. Cambridge does a lot of good webinars. In fact, some of the topics we do are from the Cambridge webinars, and we take it as a discussion point
Oh,
because you
okay.
have got the input. We discuss that in TTT. So yeah, in that way I think it's a brilliant way to connect with a lot of teachers. And now I think in the last 1 or 2 years it's been really helpful in finding opportunities also. We've had so many people, I think, even we work together thanks to
Yes.
TTT. So many people who we've actually seen. And for us, although we didn't start it with the benefit per se in mind, we also started realizing whenever we get a project, it becomes so much more easier to get in touch with the trainer, to check with them whether
Yes.
they're available. So I think being in the group is kind of helpful, mutually helpful for everybody as well.
Very much. So, yeah, as I mentioned in the beginning, it has been extremely helpful in many ways. Of course, the CPD sessions are a part of it, but even otherwise, the group is pretty active most of the time. In many ways, it's wonderful, and you do share these links for the Cambridge webinars as well when they happen, because sometimes we do miss out on that, and when someone pushes you, it helps you realize that okay, maybe you can make time and go for it.
Yes.
Fantastic. And one thing I understood when you said you listen to the webinars and then you take this for CPD for a discussion is that you learn and share, and that is mutually beneficial in many ways when you do that.
True.
Yeah, thank you so much for those wonderful insights. And now I have to ask you lots of questions about things that people take 100 steps back, because people have done CELTA, they have been a
Oh,
teacher of English for a long time. Now they want to go for the next step. One thing is it is expensive, it is long duration, it has 3 modules. CELTA itself was challenging for 1 month. So and already people who do Delta say that there's a lot of writing, there's so many questions that we have to answer and all that. So what made you choose Delta?
so Delta came into my this thing when I, in fact, worked in Salem. So when I was working in Salem, so I had my boss there. He was, I think, doing his Delta Module 3. And right then, he started pushing me for Delta Module 1. He said, Delta Module 1, you can start doing because it's more of an exam. And so I was running far away from it. I said, no, no, I don't think I want to do it anytime soon. And but I think he planted that idea in my head, and I'm quite thankful to him for that as well. I didn't do it right then. I did it definitely much after. But I think the reason why I thought after starting thinking, I in fact did Delta, the reason why I thought that was important was understanding much deeper into the methodology and the way of teaching was important to me because I was the primary decision maker and I wanted to make informed decisions even for the trainers. So, if I am prescribing a particular methodology, if I'm standing apart from a group, I should know why I'm standing differently. I should know what is the reason behind my belief system of this methodology. And I think Delta gives a very, very deep experimental experience of this. And my experience has definitely been eye opening in so many ways for me, Delta. Clearly, like one of the things that I think everybody should know, whoever is looking for Delta, is in Celta, you have a very rigid way of doing things.
Yes.
And I think so. When I did that, I was just very, when I finished that, I'm like, why should you do this way? Why should you do ICQs, instruction checking questions? But I realized in Delta that because I had the rigidity and the structure, I knew where I could break them in Delta,
Mm.
where I could, let go and where I need to hold on to. And the reason why I'm letting go of certain things, because Delta tells you to actually adapt to what the learner needs. Nothing is more important than your learner. Whereas in Celta, it's like you as a teacher need low TTT, high STT, high CQ. So we have all these jargons that come in, and we
True.
are all like, as we do the demo the first time, we're all making sure, did I do the ICQ, CCQ? So you are cross checking, second guessing yourself. But in
Yes.
Delta, I think that structure helps you to evolve as a trainer. Then you go into Delta and then you realize, okay, these are the things that I will only take what the learner needs. These are the things I definitely need to put in a lesson. So I think that clarity was really good when I did Delta.
Excellent. I'm very happy to know that. Thank you for this detailed answer. I'm sure people who are wondering whether to go for it or not get a fair idea about what they can expect as the outcome of this program. Like, when should someone do Delta?
I think gather as much as experience as possible before jumping into Delta. And by experience, I don't mean years.
Hmm.
I mean different types of teaching. So do online, do offline, do all the levels as much as possible. Young learners, do classes with other nationals. Like I was fortunate because I was freelancing with EF. I had Russian students, students from Spain, Brazil. So as much as possible, get a variety of experience before you go into Delta, because Delta, especially a module 2, will test you for your experience, and you can write a really solid essay only if you have the experience to actually say it. How much ever theory you put in, the rationality behind your experience is what is going to, keep you level apart from the theoretical or bookish knowledge.
Okay, I understand that. Uh,
Because I don't
so,
think it's really the years, Balaji. A lot of people say, okay, so many years experience. But if so
yeah.
many years you've only done BE, business English, it still doesn't give you the variety.
Yes. Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. So now, some people, I think including me, we find it difficult to gather this variety. When we work for some organizations, we get this variety, but once we get into freelancing, it mostly gets into mostly just the corporate trainings, the same level, or the interview preparation, and so on. What can people do if they want to find more variety?
See, right now the world is open to online teaching.
Yes.
So I would say try to find freelance opportunities which you can get through companies that teach other country nationals. If you really can't get that, you have so many classes on YouTube which you can observe and learn, because you at least get an idea of how or what kind of mistakes a typical let's say Spanish speaker would have. Because when you are kind of evaluating your essays in your Delta module 2, if I just say these are the errors the Indians, or let's say the Tamil people have, or the Malayalis have, it narrows down my study into something really small. Whereas I would say what I noticed is Malayalis have the same kind of errors that French people have. So you are showing that you have that kind of a knowledge to show, and you will have proof points because you would have taught and you would have
True.
kind of recognized. And if you're doing Delta, it's a very good thing to keep a note of all these in your own. If you maintain a teacher's journal, well, a lot of us say, but we don't. But I do maintain, these kind of quirky things I notice about certain other nationalities, or a very typical error from another nationality. I do read papers on that and see if I can see that same similar pattern. So I
Okay.
think a lot of back work is definitely required to gain the kind of knowledge that you need to gain in Delta.
Sure. When you mention you read papers on that, could you let us know a little bit more about that?
So again, that is all Delta Module 1, Module 2, because you
Okay.
kind of get a lot of research papers and you do need
Okay.
to go ahead. So it's a simple search on Google Scholar, not on Google.
Right.
You go to Google Scholar. You can say you name the topic, you have something. For instance, whenever I had a Bengali student, and you know how L1 influence is very high for. So I needed to understand in order to correct her. I know the sounds that influence, but why does it happen? What is the
Right.
origination? Because I don't know Bengali. So I
Right.
need to understand. So I go and read up a paper, and you put down saying, Bengali L1 interference for ESL teaching. You have a paper, somebody has written on it, you can
Wow.
read, you will understand, and then you can help it. So I think reading helps me a lot.
That's great. Thank you so much for this wonderful. This is one aha moment for me, definitely, in today's interview. With respect to the most challenging part of Delta, there's module one, two, three. Which one is the most challenging one?
Delta equals challenge. So, but yeah, like everything challenges you in different ways. Okay, so in first one, because I was so away from examinations, and this is a 3 hour exam where you have
Wow.
to write. So I had to practice writing for 3 hours continuously so that my hand would, because we take short notes about students and learners. We don't write for 3 hours.
Absolutely.
So that was something that was challenging. The studies part of it, not as challenging, yeah, a little bit, but I think any studies or any exam is having the kind of difficulty, but only the writing part I found really challenging in one. Two was very intense, but I loved two, because it was very practical and I could use my knowledge and experience along with my academic reading. Three was challenging for me the most, because you have to do it all by yourself, and it's kind of spread out in a couple of months, or I took almost about 9 months, because I was working full time and I had to do it. And in three, what happens is you leave something, you're reading something, you're researching, you leave it, you come back again, you take another 1 hour to get into the zone, and then you have to write again. So I think it's about balancing the two things. Three was one of my most challenging papers.
Right. Thank you very much for telling us about all the modules and what exactly are the challenges we might face. Thank you for letting us know about that. So, you mentioned about module two, and you said that it was the most challenging, but then you found it very interesting. For module two, did you have to go to another country, or could we do it in India, or is it possible to do it online?
I did it online. In fact,
Okay.
I thought for me online was definitely a better option, because online gave me the time. So I did a 10 week course.
Okay.
So it was intensive, but at the same time, it did not. So in person course usually is a 6 week course. So I think it would be more cramped and
Okay.
quite hard to finish. This one was a 10 week course, and we did have a really good support system. So the peer-to-peer learning. So two of us. So I had a really nice trainer from Myanmar, and
Okay.
the two of us were actually doing a lot of training together. So we had students from different parts of the world. We had from Myanmar, Thailand, Taiwan.
Okay.
So all our online classes, we would have a mix of nationalities as well. So, one, it benefited because mine was fully an online based company then, and it helped me to also pick up a lot of new things that I could do online,
Okay.
because I think at that time we were all just exploring Zoom and things like that. So that was helpful. And it also, and I completely stopped like all my classes and work during the 10 weeks, because it was so intense. It was really intense. I don't remember probably getting more than 3 to 4 hours sleep every day.
Got
It
it.
was that intense, because every week you would have to submit two essays. And this, to work for these essays, each essay you would be reading close to like 20, 30 books. So you definitely have to put in the kind of time, put in the energy, make sure like everything around you just happens. You only do Delta. So module 2, I think, would be something that intensive. So unless you have the time for that and the luxury of other things being taken care around you, you may find it difficult to crack it.
This 2.5 months, 10 weeks, right? 10 weeks
Yeah.
course, that is only for module 2.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And so, all right.
10
So,
or 15. I think 10 was module 1 and 15 was module 2.
okay.
15 weeks was module 2. Yeah.
So you take these things, different modules at different times separately, or you take a gap in between. How does it work?
In fact, Delta, that's the one really good thing, Balaji, if you ask me. You can do it in any order.
Okay.
So you can do module one. I did module one the first year, module two the second year,
Hmm.
module three. I just submitted my paper last week.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So you can actually do the modules spread out, and you can choose to do three first, two, then one. Any
Hmm.
order is also okay. You register per module.
So we can register per module as well. So you don't have to pay
Yeah.
for everything together.
No, you
Okay.
don't. You can register per module.
Okay. And many companies offer Delta. I think British Council or IH International House
Yeah.
and many others. So which one did you go with?
I went with the IH. So
IH.
I did it with actually IH Bangkok. So
Okay.
IH also has different, because even in IH, there are a lot of different varieties of Delta courses. So I did have somebody who I met for my Delta Module 1 exam who had done IH London. So her course wasn't like a 10 weeks for module 1. It was only, I think, 2 or 3 catch ups with the trainer. Rest was self learning. So even the way that you do the course is very different in a lot of IHs. So you need to actually go into each of the IH website and decide which one you want to choose.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um.
there isn't a standardized course. I think even freelancers, trainers like Sandy Millen also provides Delta courses. I've got two of my colleagues who are doing it from her. So I think she's also an option for Delta Module 1 and 3.
Okay. So
Yeah.
individuals provide the course, module one.
Yeah, because
Okay.
Cambridge only needs you to register for exams. Cambridge doesn't need you to register for the course. The course is honestly a support system given to pass the exam.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of things about Delta. I'm sure many people who wonder what on earth is there on the other side
I
got
get
to know.
asked so much on LinkedIn. A lot of people ask me, should I do Celta or Delta? And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, that is another question that some people who haven't ventured into it yet might have. So is it as a stepping stone? I mean, before doing Delta, you should do Celta, but
Yeah.
are there any other options other than Celta? If
Yeah, I think you can do any of your TEFL courses that are offered. Yeah, TESOL, TEFL, all of that. Yeah.
okay.
Trinity has one.
Uh-huh.
Any other organization that has a similar course, they're fine with it.
Wonderful. And Ambika, in today's world, uh, I'm not sure if you heard of this app called Supernova, which
Mhm.
was founded by somebody. It helps people learn English. It is an AI-driven app. And the person who founded the app has made crores now in the last just few years, 2 or 3 years. Now AI is rushing into all the fields. No field is an exception, and language teaching is definitely one of those areas where you can see its effect. The number of classes reducing with giant companies. So all that is happening today. Uh, how do you think we should approach this change? That whether we like it or not, we are going to go through this. So
Yeah.
how do we face this? What would be the best way
I
to
think,
handle it?
yeah, I think one, make AI your friend because you look at it as enemy, you're probably going to keep fighting a battle that's losing.
Yes.
Look at it as a friend and try to also, because even for teachers, now we have so many AIs that help us with lesson planning. And so I think use AI as a tool to enable yourself and also make sure that your presence is unique to what an AI can give.
Mm,
See, an AI can probably give you feedback on your pronunciation in terms of correction, but they may not be able to find patterns in your pronunciation because you're not conversing on a constant basis with AI. You're giving them one input and asking for correction. Whereas a teacher would have seen you through a journey of, let's say, 15 hours or 10 hours, the kind of feedback and input that you give will be definitely much more qualitative than what is going to be AI generated. So, work on better feedback techniques, work on making it more personalized.
mm,
See, AI can personalize based on the input you give, not by the perception of a trainer. So I see a person struggling. I know his problem is not hesitation. His problem is only lack of vocabulary. Whereas an AI can only look at the pattern, okay, he's not talking, which means he's hesitant.
mm, mm.
But I can identify, no, he's not hesitant. He can speak so well in Tamil.
True.
He is not able to do it only because he doesn't know the word in English. So I think from a pre-assessment part, from a post-assessment part, from individual feedback, from customizing what is required for learner, all that is something we as teachers can definitely have a better hold of because AI is only giving you what input it gets. And we have the perception of actually understanding a learner much better than what an AI can see through. So I think that still is a win for us.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree. The human touch is still
Yeah, yeah.
necessary. Um, and when you mentioned like we have to be like better than AI in some ways. I was reminded of a video which I watched. They spoke about Coco Melon, a cartoon, I
Mm,
believe.
yeah.
The makers of this cartoon keep two screens in front of a child to assess whether how effective the cartoon is. So on
Mm,
one screen, Cocomelon plays. On the other screen, they have just regular mundane things like a haircut or crossing the road, things like that. So every time the child looks away from Cocomelon screen and goes into this mundane screen, they think, okay, we have to change this part of the program, this part of the cartoon. So because the child is
mm,
not being interested, so they are expecting this 24-hour attention for
correct,
the cartoon. So this
correct.
explains what we have to do uh, in our classes, and particularly in schools. I think it's going to be more challenging. What kind of
Challenging.
things do you do to make sure the participants pay attention throughout? It is pretty challenging, but then as much as possible, how do we hold their attention?
See, one thing is, I think the kind of methodology most of us use in ESL, you don't have that much of a problem unless it's a bigger group.
True.
Let's say if it is a group of 20, then you will have this problem of, some people not paying attention. But
Mm,
in a smaller group, in a one-on-one, I don't think we would face because most of the classes are very interactive and it's mostly student-led. So
mm,
in that case, I've not personally had so much of challenge, but in a group class, again, have variety of patterns. Having variety of, interaction patterns helps and also engaging content. It shouldn't be content where I just put it up saying, okay, today I'm going to be doing, let's say, presentation skills and then give them a list of do's and don'ts and then
mm.
ask them to read. So, how can you make the content also a hero of the class? Content also an interactive object in the class. So I think if that is there, then there is this problem does not arise.
Wonderful. And I think some part of CELTA also tells us to maximum gather the content from the participants themselves. So
Yeah,
I think that way they feel like it's them being the
true.
hero there. So,
Yes, absolutely. I
well,
mean, but like if you see Balaji, when it's certain organizational courses, when the structures are already set, that may be a little difficult for the trainer. So you may need to get as close as possible to the student in terms of context. Yeah.
true. I'd agree. Ambika, with you have taken up various roles in journalism, marketing, working with NGOs, language teaching, and now the CEO. Which one has been your favorite role and why?
Favorite topping the list is always teaching. I think I really enjoy it, and I enjoy the fact that there is so much of learning even in teaching. Like every time you walk into a class and you work out, you've gained also equally as much as the students. You've grown as a teacher with every new student you meet, I feel. Because you understand so much of nuances that you've done, and you're like, oh, this is why I did it. And you have your own aha moments, and then you have your own self-reflection. We're like, oh, why didn't they pick it up? Okay, maybe it's so I think it challenges me intellectually, which is why I find it very interesting. And the fact that the job satisfaction you get out of teaching is immeasurable to any other jobs that I've done. Yeah.
I think that that's one of the biggest things or the best things that we get as teachers.
Yes.
And I started this whole interviews and podcasts with trainers mainly because I wanted to ask people some questions when I was lost. And instead of just asking them one to one, I thought, let me put this as an interview so that at least one more teacher might get benefited. So that was the whole idea of doing this. And I'm certain your interview today will help a lot of people, particularly with those who want to do Delta and those who wonder what is there, like how difficult or easy is it going to be? What do I need to have before I join Delta? So thousands of questions in their mind. I'm sure a good number of them got answered through this interview. And for me, definitely the Google Scholar is one thing that I got to know. Once upon a time, somebody told me about this, but then I completely forgot about it. Thank you for letting me know how helpful it could be. So now it's going to be much easier for me every time I have to go somewhere else and meet someone from another culture and teach them. I could
Right.
look for papers and do some reading
Absolutely.
before I start that. So thanks a lot for this wonderful session today. It really means a lot to me that you made this time for us and gave all your valuable inputs. The best part I like is most all the people whom I have interviewed here, they don't keep anything to themselves. They're so happy to give what they know, to share what they know. And I think that is when uh, only when we give everything that we know, we start working on other things that we can gain and then we can give more.
Absolutely. So I think it's always when you keep giving, you kind of also realize so many new ideas popping up in your own head. You're like, oh, maybe, yeah, I could try this. Because when you're open, ideas also
Yes.
come to you. So
Completely agree. Completely agree. So thank you for being so open. Thank you for sharing everything about entrepreneurship, everything about Delta, everything about learning as a teacher, a lot of things about teaching, and many things about research. It's been an amazing interview indeed. Thanks a lot.
thank you so much, Balaji. Thank you so much.